Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live cast today. Glad you're here. So I want to start off with my first item in digital transformation news. And maybe I made a little news myself. I don't know, not to be immodest, but my book, which hopefully many of you have gotten, did appear on the Wall Street Journal bestsellers list this week. So I thought I should just begin by bragging about that. Appreciate great thanks to all of you that purchased it. Every one of your purchases no doubt helped. It was tough competition, a lot of great books on there. And I got to check out Matthew McConaughey's book Green Lights that beat me out. But still, I was really super happy to just make it onto the Wall Street Journal bestseller list, mostly because I'm hoping that will mean the book will get into even more people's hands. So again, thank you everybody who purchased it. And for anyone who hasn't, of course, it's still available, obviously. Our launch pricing sale is over, alas, but the publisher moved it up only to, I believe it's now $7.99. So for a Kindle book, that's still a pretty good price. You can grab that on Amazon. You can go just look for it on Amazon, but you can also grab it at, someone says I have an echo. Do you hear an echo, Caitlin?
I do not hear an echo.
Okay. Well, thank you. Allison. Hey, Allison. Yes. Oh, boy. Multiple people say they hear an echo. Huh. Oh, man. Everybody says there's an echo. Well, I could try switching my, here, let me try making a change here. I wonder why that's happening. Let me try one quick change here. Thanks, everybody, for letting me know that. And I will switch. Maybe, no, mic speaker. I'm just going to try using my regular computer. Is that better? Everybody echo, folks? Oh, now it says big echo. Oh, it's not. All right. Well, then I won't do that. I have the mic and the speaker. Horrible. Okay. Well, all right. Let's see. I have echo cancellation turned on. Thanks, everybody, for your patience here. It's great to have you guys there to tell me this, though. So, Caitlin, you don't hear an echo? You know what? I think I'm just going to exit and rejoin. So just give me 1 second, guys, and I will do that. And hopefully that will solve the problem.
We'll be back in just a second.
All right. I am back. What now? Ahmed, you still hear me? Is my echo still there or gone? Caitlin, can you hear?
I have no echo for you, so I'm not sure.
All right. Is there anyone still left? Did everyone take off because of the echo? Can anyone hear me? That's connected on any of our platforms? We might have lost everybody. Oh well, now I'm sad. Well, that's a shame. I don't know what happened there. I can only guess it's a problem with StreamYard, our service here, because that's not happened before. All right. Well, I guess Janice, are you logged in from one of the other platforms?
I am not, but I will go check.
Yeah, maybe that's a good thing for us to start doing, just so we know how it's coming through.
I was just on LinkedIn, and there's no echo for me. You sound loud and clear, so I'm not sure what's happening for everybody else.
Interesting. Well, perhaps it's a LinkedIn issue. I don't know. Unless everyone's just punking me. I don't know. All right. Well, do we still have anyone on, or did they all go away? Anyone still there? Post a comment. Let me know if you're still there. If not, of course, we'll keep going. Probably cut all this out, but okay. Well, let's try this again. Hi, everybody. So apologize for anyone who had troubles there, but let's keep going. So, what I want to talk about a little bit today, other than my excitement about the book, is to talk about chatbots. And what put it on my mind was I just did a podcast for a company that makes chatbots. They asked me to come on and talk about digital transformation, and so I did. And they asked me a bunch of questions, and I thought they were really good questions. And I thought, well, hopefully hopefully I'm not scooping their podcast by talking about it here. Probably not too many of the same people. I thought I'd just talk a little bit about chatbots rather, because it really got me thinking that it is a great example of one of the models in the book in winning digital customers, which is the three key aspects of the three key qualities of successful digital brands. So one of the things we looked at for the book was, if you look at the companies that are really knocking out of the park in the digital space, what are they doing? What are they doing that we should do? And I don't mean something like chatbots or some specific feature, but at a higher level. And we synthesized it down to 3 key things that they're doing, which is they deliver an experience which is hyper convenient, lets you access it anytime, any place, any way you want, in a way that's fast and easy and just extremely efficient. So that's the first thing, hyper convenience. And the second thing is proactive personalization. They know who you are. They're constantly learning more about you. You never have to tell them the same thing twice. And they're doing a good job of kind of using that information to make suggestions and recommendations to you, or make your process simpler, easier, more pleasant, et cetera. And obviously it depends. If it's Netflix, it's giving you, recommended movies. If it's your bank, it may be, reminding you about a bill pay, or if it's Google, it may be suggesting how you might want to respond to an email. I noticed, I love the feature in Google where when I receive an email, it starts to suggest responses. And originally it seemed like it was a little more primitive, and it feels to me like it's getting more sophisticated. So now I starting to feel like some of the responses that it's offering me are even learned from how I have entered responses myself to other people in the past, starting to use language that I would use, stuff like that. So, I imagine if the Queen of England gets an email on Gmail and someone asks if she wants to come to lunch, one of the options will be indubitably, whereas that's probably not something I would say. Anyway, that could be partially my imagination. I'm not sure, but I feel like they're doing even more, and it wouldn't surprise me because that's Google for you, pushing the boundaries always on how you drive personalization. And then the third is massive value shift, which is simply giving more for less. The way Skype lets you call anywhere in the world for either nothing or like 1 penny per minute or something like that, or Spotify gives you, all the music ever published for, $9 a month, that sort of thing. Just pure giving someone more for less. So those are the 3 key principles. So I thought I'd look at the issue of chatbots in the context of that model. And let me just make sure I've advanced the slide correctly. Yeah, here. And then let us talk about chatbots in that context as well. So 1 second. Got a little screen organizing to do here. Live cast. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, weird. What am I doing wrong? Sorry. I see. It's because I left and came back in. That's what happened. I messed it up. All right. Here we go. Live cast slides. Sorry about this, folks. 2 seconds. Present. And I think we should be in business. There we go. Okay, that's what I was trying to show you. And so I took this model of hyperconvenience, proactive personalization, massive value shift, and I thought about it in the context of chatbots. And I'm assuming everybody knows what chatbots are, but we're referring primarily to automated tools which allow someone to have a chat interface in which they can make requests. And chatbots have gotten very sophisticated, right? You can do things like check your balance, place an order, cancel an order, and just ask open-ended questions. Some of them are more multiple choice oriented, where it moves you through a menu, almost like an old-fashioned IVR. And others simply allow you to type whatever you want. And they're certainly not perfect yet, but you can go on 1-800-Flowers and just order something entirely through a chatbot, for example. So the first column that they tick off is hyperconvenience. Because if you compare chatbots to if someone wants to interact in a conversational way, of course, classically that would be via a form like a format like a call center, right? Picking up the phone, calling somebody, which of course is for most people extremely, extremely inconvenient. I should say that there is a small percentage of times when people really want to speak to someone. Something is super urgent, something is life or death. They have a very complex question. And they really don't want to deal with any form of self-service. But in the work that we've done, and we've studied this many times, sort of 90%, and that's just a rough number, but the vast majority of times, most people today, they prefer vastly a self-service approach rather than having to call and talk on the phone with someone. And of course, most companies in most situations prefer that as well, because it's of course less costly. So it makes sense where possible to move people into a self-service channel, except for a small percentage of interactions that are really best handled personally, either because it's a massive opportunity to close a sale and you really want to do it in the very best possible way, and it's worth the cost of interacting with them in person, and or they really want to speak to someone because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. So we're really not talking here about those small percentage of situations. I'm talking about the rest, the other 90% or the other 80% or whatever it may be in your industry. And so if we look at the first category of hyperconvenience, the first benefit of chatbots is anytime, right? Because most companies aren't providing 24/7 access even to live customer assistance chat, let alone call centers. Yours may, airlines, there are cases where they do, but in many cases, you're providing that, you're not always accessible via chat or via phone, whereas, of course, an automated system can be accessible all the time. And of course, also anywhere, right? You can access it from your phone, from your computer screen, from other devices. Of course, if you have a chat bot that's actually hooked up via voice and NLP, you can actually be accessing it via Alexa or other voice-driven systems as well. So many, many ways, many more ways that people can access a chat bot than, for example, a call center. And then the next is immediate. Even if you compare chatbots to customer service chat, where you're still interacting with a similar interface, I don't know about you guys, but most of the time when I go on a website and try to access chat, at least 2/3 of the time, I get that message that, you're going to wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're in queue, you're waiting for the next available person. So you have some of the same issues as you have with call centers. You've got to wait for that person to interact with you. And not only do you have to wait for them to start interacting with you, but I find very often I'll make a request and then I'm just sitting there. I'm waiting for them to respond, probably because that person's having 6 or 7 conversations at the same time, right? Or just the simple fact that they have work to do. They ask them a question. They've got to go into a system. They've got to log in. They've got to look me up. They're a human. They can't operate at the speed that a computer can operate at. So the immediacy is usually not there in-person, in a sort of live person, so to speak, chat. And of course, it's not there with a call center where, again, you very often wait. So, and then lastly, chatbots are very supportive of the desire that customers have in order to engage in self-service. And what I mean by that is, if you think about when you begin an interaction with a brand, you kind of have this tree you can go down. Am I going to call them? Am I going to try to interact with them in a person-to-person manner? Or am I going to try to solve my problem on my own? Am I going to call the bank, or I'm just going to go on their website and try to figure it out? Am I going to call to order a pizza, or I'm just going to go in the app and try to order it that way? Am I going to try for an in-person interaction or a live real-time interaction, even if it's over the phone? Or am I going to try to go on the self-service path? Well, because so many people prefer self-service, because it's just quicker and easier typically, and for other reasons as well. Some people just don't want to deal with other humans and the social qualities of having to deal with somebody when they're engaged in these types of tasks. It doesn't mean, by the way, that they're antisocial and that they never want to engage with other people. It's just that they don't want the burden of having to interact with somebody and thank them and all those types of things, and just the sort of human contact when all they're trying to do is, reorder toner. They'd much rather just push a button. So you're supporting somebody very often who starts down a self-service path. But the power of chatbots also are that sometimes we start down that self-service path. We start at that option. Do I want to go down the call center path, or do I want to go down a self-service path? And let's say you say, I want to go down a self-service path, and you go down and you take a few steps down, and then all of a sudden you reach a stopping point. You hit a speed bump. You're confused. You're uncertain. You don't have quite the information that you need. Something's not working quite the way that you expected. Now, what do? Well, classically, one option is you say, okay, well, that didn't work. I got to go back up to the top, and I got to go back down the other way. I'm going to dump what I'm doing, and instead I'm going to go into a call center experience. And what's going to happen when I do that? Well, they're going to say, hi, what's your name? What's your account number? And you're essentially starting from the beginning. So you're abandoning your self-service approach and whatever time you invested in that. Whereas a chatbot has the potential to jump in, assuming it's been developed with sort of in-context awareness. But for example, if you have a chatbot integrated into your own e-commerce platform or customer service platform, that chatbot needs to have awareness of what you're doing, where you are on the site, what you're accessing it. And of course, if you're logged in, it needs to be the context of your account. So that chatbot, when you call it, can say, hi, I see that you're trying to transfer money between 2 accounts. How can I help? And instead of starting from what's your name, what's your account number, let alone you having to explain what it is that you're trying to do. So in that way, the chatbot is the sort of the customer support that can parachute in the middle of your self-service transaction, perhaps help you with one small thing, and then you can continue along your self-service path. Maybe you've just reached a point where you're confused about the tax calculation, and you go to the self-service, to the chatbot. It explains it. You go, okay, that makes sense to me, and now I can proceed with my checkout or whatever it may be. So that's a powerful alternative to needing to abandon the self-service model. And now, in theory, you could achieve that as well with a live person chat. And of course, the very best chatbots have the ability to escalate to a real human being. So, that's always there, or should be there, in any sort of best practice chatbot or virtual assistant, as they sometimes call it, implementation, where if your question is too complex or not appropriate for the chatbot to handle, or it's not programmed to handle that particular type of request, it can roll over to a live person who can help you as well. So you have that potential benefit as well from the from real person interactions via chat, as long as the system that you're using is set up to handle context, right? I have had occasions to be on a website and be logged in and have something in my shopping cart and have a problem and go on chat, and the person still says, "Hi, how can I help you? What's your name?" And of course, that's even worse because it's even farther from the customer's expectation. At least when I call someone on the phone in a call center, I don't necessarily expect that they know who I am. And by the way, some do know who I am, right? Because they use caller ID and screen pop. So the person calls up and says, "Hi, is this Howard Tiersky? I have your account here." And that's, of course, great and almost exceeds my expectation in most cases. But if I'm on a website and I'm on a particular page and I click customer service chat, then I really do expect that the whether it's a human or a chatbot, it's going to know where I am and sort of see what I'm doing. And yet that's a gap for some companies' implementations of live human on-site chat. Okay, so those are some ways in which it creates hyper convenience for the customer. Let's go to the next column of our formula for winning digital brands, which is proactive personalization. And this kind of blends over from what we were. Contextual awareness should allow your virtual assistant to, of course, immediately know who that individual is, which is a level of personalization, as I just mentioned, that you often don't get in call centers until you've identified yourself. So it's a little less proactive, I guess you could say. But in addition, you may have a whole history with a brand. You may have a long transaction history and other things, and a human being isn't going to have that in their brain the second they pick up the phone to speak to you. So their ability to personalize your experience, even when they're looking at your account records, is limited to how fast their brain can process. Okay, who am I talking to now? Where are they located? What's their history? What's their status as a customer? All those types of things. Again, of course, a computer can think a lot faster than a human, although not necessarily with the same level of nuance. But for many types of inquiries and for many types of personalization, it's not necessary. So, for example, if the chatbot is able to come up and say, "Hello, Howard, I see you flew on a flight from, this location to that location yesterday. Is this what you're interested in talking about?" All of a sudden, I don't have to start with, "Hey, I took a flight yesterday." It's aware of my recent flight, or whatever the analog may be for your industry. We can have simple, algorithms that take a look to see what are the right things to start discussing with the customer to put forth, or what are the other ways, again, if someone says purchase ticket, the person can say, here are the 4 last places that you've bought a ticket to. Is it one of those? And a human in theory could do those things as well, but very often it just doesn't happen that way because the human isn't, saying human sounds kind of weird, but the person, the customer support representative, just doesn't have the speed to be able to access that information. Of course, we could talk about call center best practices, and in theory, that person could have access to that information more rapidly. So to the degree that you're looking to improve the call center experience, many of these same principles can be applied. In fact, I was just hearing about a technology that was integrated with one of the VoIP platforms. I'm now forgetting which one, but it was an AI and NLP technology that was being used in the insurance industry. And what would happen is that as the customer would speak to the call center representative, what the customer was saying was being speech to text recognized in real time and then fed into an AI engine. And that led to recommended responses appearing on the screen of the call center representative. So if the person called in and described something about themselves or their situation, the system could hear what they were saying, could look at their transaction records or their account records and then suggest a response. So you almost had the system doing the thinking and the researching that normally a call center representative would do. So that's a great example of almost a hybrid where, to some degree, maybe it's not quite this way, but almost the chatbot is using the human operator as their voice. Obviously, with the extra layer that individual can apply human empathy, can listen to the tone of voice of the individual, and can be intelligent enough to know when not to do what the recommended AI system is coming back with, or support more manual requests that aren't supported by the system. Nevertheless, that's a kind of cool example of a hybrid. So that's proactive personalization, right? That essentially, because it's contextually aware and because it gives potential access to all the data, it can think faster than a human can. And then the last is the simplest, which is that companies that are winning in the digital world are offering more for less. And there are multiple ways to do that, but certainly figuring out how to serve more customers at a lower cost is absolutely essential. And chatbots are one way to do that, because one of our largest expenses as a business is usually our interactions with our customers. When you look at, the major costs, you've got your cost of sales, you've got your cost of goods, and you've got your cost of customer service interactions. Those are the biggest costs for most businesses. And so if we can substantially reduce our cost to interact with our customers, then that's fantastic. And by the way, of course, it may mean fewer jobs in the call center, but it may also mean that your call center can do things that are higher value. And if they're not having to answer the same repetitive questions over and over and over, because that's being handled in an automated way, then whether that's in chat or however, then they can be providing more high value sales or providing more high value answering questions that aren't practical today to answer with automation to customers. So that's really what I just wanted to share, which is and it's just I shared it for two reasons. One, because I do think that virtual assistants or chatbots are a technology that most companies need to be thinking about right now, and I really don't think many are. There's no question, but there's many brands that we engage with that it's not something that they're really focused on, or they're focused on it in a very, very minimal way. Like, for example, they're implementing chat, but not chatbots, or they're implementing some kind of chatbot, but it's an extremely limited chatbot for only a few kind of key things, versus really looking at how do we try to develop the smartest, most AI-driven chatbot possible, so it can do as much as possible. And as I mentioned earlier, how do we make sure it's truly integrated into the customer journey, so that when a customer has a question, it's very, very contextually aware and has access to the full breadth of CRM and transaction data and things like that. There's many layers to any technology that you implement, and most companies that I'm talking to, and there are some exceptions, and certainly in financial services, for example, most companies are very focused on this, but in a lot of others, it's very limited. And so I believe this is an area the companies need to be looking at more, and I wanted to talk about it for that reason. And also because I think it's a wonderful example of using a model from the book, from the Winning Digital Customers book, to say, and anytime we're looking at any new capability that we may want to implement, one filter is to say, well, does it drive these areas? Does it make our experience more convenient? Does it provide proactive personalization? And does it provide an improved shift of value, giving more benefit to the customer, potentially for less cost? Or if it's enough more benefit, it's more benefit without increased cost. Or it's not more benefit, but at least it's a substantially decreased cost. Something improving the value equation with the customer. Now, of course, these aren't the only things that matter in your business, but these are the sort of common trends that we find that cut across all businesses that are successful in the digital world. So that is what we wanted to talk about today, the topic of chatbots. And so that was what we had to say there. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to post them in the chat, and we will try to get to them in the future. Apologize to those that were listening in the beginning, and we seem to have some technical problems with echo, so we will try to get that solved in the future. And if you haven't had a chance to check out my book, feel free to go to Amazon, and you can buy it there. The short link to get it on Amazon is here, wdc.ht/Amazon, or you can just go to Amazon and search for it. That's totally fine. And if you want to check it out first, you can also just go to wdc.ht/free chapter. You can read the whole first chapter for free and then decide if it is for you. Well, that's it for today. Thanks everybody for joining. See you on Wednesday.